Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure for us, the members of the BronxEdTech Showcase Steering Committee, to welcome you in this ninth edition of the BronxEdTech Showcase. We're very happy and also proud of the program that we have been able to put together for this conference. We hope that you enjoy the uh, the different activities that we're going to be sharing with you. We already shared with you a quick survey. We want to make sure that you take a couple of seconds, it's less than a minute, answer a couple of questions. I just posted the link in the chat again so that you can share with us how you're feeling, right? How you're doing today, and also, what are your expectations for the day. We're happy to see members from different campuses, from Kennedy Central. It's happy to see all of you coming together to this conference. And we want to for you to make sure that you take advantage of this virtual environment. A few minutes ago, you were in the virtual lounge where you had the opportunity to sit at any of those virtual tables, say hi to a colleague. This environment is going to be open throughout the day so that you can take advantage, come back, especially when you are at lunch. You come back and then you're able to have conversations with your colleagues. And on behalf of the members of the steering committee, I will share their names in a little bit. We want to thank you for being here. We know that it's a busy, it's a rainy day, right? But we're taking advantage of the virtual setting so that we have an opportunity to have conversations on what's going on, innovations, practices that our colleagues are doing throughout this period, and how we are preparing ourselves for the upcoming future. Without further to do, I want to invite our presidents to offer welcoming remarks. I'm going to start with see if I can unmute myself. I'm going to start with my president from Ostos Community College, Dr. Daisy Coco de Filippis. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me to bring brief remarks. I do have a strategic plan, so I apologize to all my colleagues. I know how thoroughly I had enjoyed last year's, where I was able to stay for a number of hours. So thank you, colleagues. I do love the fact that we collaborate with Lehman and with Bronx Community College, and that so much support has been provided. I have some very brief remarks that I wrote that I'd like to read to you, and then I will stay only until about a quarter after. At that point, I'll have to leave quietly. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much, and I'm very grateful for all of our team for doing that. So it's been said, and I know, I certainly try to remind myself regularly that all challenges are really opportunities. It's been so much that has been so devastating and so painful. But if that is the case, at the very least, the global pandemic presented us all with a wealth of opportunities to look at how we teach and how we learn. The months following the outbreak of COVID-19 required a swift technological response on the part of both educators and students. Unable to meet in person, we found ourselves in uncharted waters. Some of the expertise was stimulating, some of it was disconcerting, but all of it was useful to one degree or another. One thing is certain, nothing is the same. That's why this year's Bronx EdTech Showcase, with its emphasis on balancing learning modalities and adapting to change, is of crucial importance in how we plan for the future. I join my colleagues, President Tomas A. Isekenevdi of Bronx Community College and President Fernando Delgado of Lehman College in supporting this year's showcase. And thank you, our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful leaders, many leaders from Ostos, from Bronx, from Lehman, for all that they do. Thank you. I look forward to hearing their thoughts and where we go from here, as long as for the little while that I'll be here, and how to maintain the highest standards of equity and access for our respective institutions. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you.
Many thanks, President Coco de Filippis. I'm going to invite now President Thomas Sekinekbi.
Good morning, everybody. I want to join President Daisy Difficocos to again welcome everybody to the 9th showcase. Really, this is a wonderful collaboration between both institutions and all three institutions in the Bronx. And I brag to my colleagues that in the Bronx we're unique. It's only in the Bronx you can find something like this happening. I think Madam President sort of said it all. The last 2 years has been really challenging times for all of our three institutions. But we've risen up to the task. We've risen up to the moment on providing alternative learning modes and teaching modes for our students. And I think last year's showcase was unique in itself because it was the year following the pandemic. I think this is even much more unique in itself again. We're taking lessons learned and how can we use them to move our institutions forward? I think that's the critical thing here. We're never going to go back to pre-2020. Remember, everything was basically in person. Now we have blended, we have high flex, we have hybrids, we have fully online courses in the different modes. My hope is that we'll take essence from today, go back to our campuses, work with our faculty, work with our students to move our institutions to the next gear, to the next level. I am looking forward to the panel conversation and discussion this morning. And I hope we all take notes and go back to our campus to make our campus a better place for all of our students. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you, President Isekenekbi. I'm going to now invite to the stage President Fernando Delgado.
Thank you. There seems to be a lag in getting my camera to work.
It's working now.
Oh, it is working now? Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you. I'll join the chorus of my colleagues and say congratulations to everybody to carve out the time to join the group today. These are busy days, we all know that. And it's been a busy and hectic year as we across CUNY have transitioned to quote unquote moving back to normal. But it's a normal 2.0. On our campus, much like our colleagues at Hostos and BCC, the last 2 years has been marked by facing challenges and seeking those opportunities. And in seeking those opportunities, we have first struggled and then met and now are innovating as the use of technology in the classroom informs not just the modalities, but the presentation of content, the ways that students and faculty interact, the ways that the institution transacts and provides services to our students. And so if there is, sadly, a silver lining that can be found in what we have with COVID, it is that our faculty and staff have responded and then innovated at a pace that we could not have anticipated even possible 4 or 5 years ago. On our campus, I want to call out an individual, Steve Castellano. He is the face of the staff who trained faculty who still were moderately unfamiliar with Blackboard, let alone how to use Zoom. And in the work that he and others in the online education office here did, helped faculty get to very quickly that baseline of efficacy, and then move beyond that to that creativity and innovation space. We're not perfect. We still have much to learn. There are still technological limitations. So I appreciate the criticisms and the concerns that people in the public and students have. But as we all know, think of how far we have traveled with online, hybrid, and now high flex classes in 20 months, in the middle of a crisis, with a lot of uncertainty. That is a remarkable achievement and one that needs to be applauded at all of our CUNY campuses, but most especially in the Bronx, because we serve, perhaps unlike any other borough, a particular student population. And for the three institutions to do it as well as we've had, in the circumstances that our faculty and staff have worked in, is just remarkable. And I say that as somebody who has come latest to the institution, only having served at Lehman for the past 10 months. So I'm happy to be here. I am so grateful for the many talented folks we have across our three campuses. And maybe people don't do things for Bronx, but we in the Bronx know that we do for ourselves.
Thank you very much, President Delgado, for your words. And we're going to start in a couple of seconds. I'm going to be inviting the members of the panel, which you have already seen a couple of them. So we want to make sure that while I'm getting everybody on stage. Okay. Stage. Good. Excellent. So as we start the first first event of the conference, we are very fortunate to have that our presidents and our provosts from Hostos Community College that have accepted to be part of this panel, and also our colleague Stephen Powers, who has also accepted to moderate this panel. I'm going to briefly give you the title of the panel, Leading Campuses Through Change, a Blended Future. We are going to be hearing from our presidents and our provosts about how our institutional leaders are facing these unique challenges and defining strategies to convert them into opportunities. Without further to do, I'm going to pass the mic to Steve and take it away.
Thank you, Carlos. I would like to ask Dr. Wang just to provide a brief introduction, since we've already met President Delgado, President Sekenegbe.
Thank you, Professor Powers. Good morning. My name is Xianghui Wang. I'm the provost of Hostos Community College. I joined Hostos since February 1st. And then before I joined Hostos, I was the VP of Academic and Student Affairs at City College of Chicago. And then before that, I was at Queensboro Community College serving as the Dean for Research. Before I became the administrator, I was a professor at New York Institute of Technology. I was also the associate dean for the School of Education. But thank you so much. I look forward to today's program.
Thank you, Dr. Wang. All three, I would ask to take the first question. Then as we go forward, in the interest of time, I'm going to just randomly kind of target presidents with questions. Dr. Sekenegbe is kind of used to my style. I'm thinking that, President Filippo knew my style because she left before I got a chance to do anything. And then I will be asking at least one of the other panelists to participate, so that we'll have time for questions at the end. So, to Dr. Wang, President Delgado, President Sekenegbe, in that order for this question. We are all aware that as a matter of necessity, the pandemic accelerated the adoption of online and remote teaching and learning at our Bronx campuses and across CUNY, across the country. How did this sudden shift and now the gradual return to campus affect the campus, your campus in particular, and how is your campus balancing the learning modalities offered to meet campus needs?
Thank you. I'll start. Thank you, Professor Powers. Now, at Hostel Community College, our faculty is really eager to come back to campus to support our students. So this spring 22, we had approximately 50% of our courses are scheduled as in-person and 40% online. And then we offer many channels to communicate with the faculty and Senate through, for example, college forums, Senate meetings, academic council, to discuss what does it look like, what the 422 modality, what does it look like? And we talk about student needs. We also, Academic Affairs offers the scheduling and enrollment data so that the chairs can use it to compare with the 421 scheduling information. We also met with individual department chair, go over their first round of scheduling and provide them some feedback, and then chairs use the data to make some kind of adjustment. So the result for our 422 is we had about 65% of our courses are scheduled as in-person and about 25% are online. So that shows that our professors are really want to coming back to campus to work with the students. We also relaunch all of our services on campus. For example, we started from library, and then cafeterias also open, and we also open our student study areas, fitness center, and continue to provide both in-person and virtual services to our students.
Thank you. President Delgado.
I think the story here is similar. What's interesting about Lehman is prior to the pandemic, we were about 72%, 74% face-to-face, and already had a number of courses and programs that were mostly online or entirely online. And so it accelerated that trajectory. I think for us, like many campuses, what we had to learn was how did we provide services to students, support services, assistive services in a Zoom environment with students and staff, frankly, at a distance. As we come out of the pandemic, what we've learned is that people have different anxieties or desires to be on campus, both on the student side, but also on the employee side, both faculty and staff. In that space, however, what we're learning is that our pattern to move programs online to meet more students in different places probably has received an infusion, and so there are more faculty and more programs who are looking at that opportunity. Certainly, we have a number of programs who have embraced the flexibility that the technology that we have adapted to and integrated onto our campus provides us more tools. But we've also learned as students have come back, in some cases in fits and starts, that they are remembering why they came to Lehman, why they come to any college campus. But particularly in the Bronx, we believe that Lehman serves for our students as a safe place. It's a place of repose. It's a place of infrastructure. It's a place of support. And even if students had some trepidation to come back in meaningful numbers in January, certainly by the time we hit March, you could see that students had adjusted to being back in campus and were spending more and more time on campus because of the services that we provide. I mean, think how precious in the middle of a pandemic a stable and accessible internet space is. When you know that if you have trouble, you can go into a building and there are experts who can provide the support for you right then and there. Those are things that are maybe not precious to many of us, but to our students, those are incredibly precious spaces and support structures to have. And so those are important lessons for us to think about as we serve our students in the many ways that they will navigate higher education at Lehman moving forward.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least,
Again, thank you, Steve. I want to thank my two colleagues here for those wonderful comments and words. At Bronx Community College, the experiences are basically the same. Prior to the pandemic, Steve, you remember, we were about 90% in-person classes. Then come March of 2020, we had to move everything online. So coming back to campus really has been the challenge. Where do you find that sweet spot of really balancing the modalities between in-person and in-person and online classes presentation? We know for community college, I'm sure the provost from Hostos will agree with me here, most of our students here really struggled with the online modalities. In fact, in the Bronx here, most of our students didn't have access to internet. We had to deliver a laptop to some of the students here. So coming back to campus really has become a challenge for some of those students really here. There are those that want to come to campus, but they are afraid of what are the different scenarios on campus that I'm going to meet. So I think one of the things we believe we've done very well is to create those classes, encourage the students to come back. I think the department chairs like Steve and our provost, they've been great in working with the students here to create those classes here to make sure we have in-person presence on campus here. But I think moving forward here really for all of our three campuses, I think President Delgado said is how do we find that common ground to balance the needs of students that want to work online and also balance the need of students that want to come on campus here. I think that's really the challenge. Our campus like Lehman is a safe haven for many students. Our library is open, our cafeteria is open. I'm looking at the fall of 2022, we want to increase the percentage of in-person classes to about 70%, then having the online presence to about 30%. Again, I think for our students, they need to be back on campus. And I really appreciate the fact that the faculty is willing to work with us to bring those students back here, really. And I think we need to provide some of the support services we've done virtually and online during the pandemic and continue to provide them even when full in-person classes back on campus.
Thank you. Thank you, all three. And all three, I think, you must be reading my mind, which is a very short story. But the next question, and I'm going to ask President Delgado to bat lead off here. The pandemic identified multiple limitations of access to technology for our students. And I think all of you addressed that. Many did not have, the students, adequate internet or devices that let them fully engage online. How have the online teaching modalities affected enrollment, and what plans are being put together to continue and to improve the support the students need in their academic pursuits?
That's a great question, Stephen. So, our enrollment, like mostly across CUNY and SUNY, is down a little bit. I think perhaps 3 or 4%. We expect to see some of that come back as people adjust to and get fully vaccinated and or their economic situation stabilizes. And I certainly think the recent action in the legislature to make some important changes to TAP will facilitate that. But we know that there are gaps in people's experiences socioeconomically, and certainly the technology gap was front and center during the height of the pandemic. At Lehman, I'm grateful that we've had a thought partner and a leader in our IT area with our VP for Information Technology, Ron Bergman. He and his team of committed folks quickly saw these challenges, and through much of the pandemic, when the campuses were closed to us, there was a concerted effort to make MiFi devices and Chromebooks and laptops available to our students so that they could have some continuity in their education. And that has led to a number of ideas, including VP Bergman's idea for a Center for Digital Inclusion. And so as we come out of the pandemic, we know those infrastructure issues, which are clearly tied to economics and the way that the Bronx has developed or not developed in terms of infrastructure, means that we are always on the cusp of having a certain percentage of our students unable to have the quality or the continuity to their education that we would like. And so with his thought power, we have pursued funding through the state legislature and the federal legislature through community projects or discretionary funding requests to grow out our capacity to provide those students who don't have either access to the technology or frankly access to the on-ramps that allow you to get on the internet freeway so that they can continue in a relatively uninterrupted way their education if they have to do it remotely in full or at least part. We also know that by doing that, particularly with the MiFi devices, for our students who have families, we're also, in a sense, helping, if they have children or siblings, helping them continue their education in the K through 16 spaces as well. And that was reported by a number of our more adult students on campus.
Thank you. Either Provost Wang or President Sekenegbe?
I just want to follow up again. I think, Steve, during the how is it affected the enrollment? A lot. Bronx Community College, like all other community colleges, we've seen it decline in enrollment following the pandemic. But I think looking forward to the future, I am optimistic that we can build it back up. This is why I really think it's important that we're preparing for fall of 2022. We need to offer more in-person classes combined with some of the online classes we're offering. We need to reach out back to those students. The CUNY Comeback program, we just had erased some of the data for some of our students. I think we need to reach out, that our marketing people are doing that. And I think, again, we need to go back to the old basic things we used to do in the past. Go back to the high schools. Our counselors are out there doing that now. Direct admit on our campuses. I think that's really important. But if you talk about some of the technologies, I think President Delgado talked about it. Most of our students, from what I said earlier on, don't have the digital infrastructure to really work. I think we still have a computer loan in place on our campus here, which I think we need to do more of. More of the Wi-Fi, I think we need to do that. Because even as we come back to classes, I think I would like to see a situation where we're really using the good things we learned from the pandemic, even in online classes. I think we should be able to create a forum on the Blackboard where students that are even taking classes in person can meet and talk about their classes. I think we should be able to create a forum online where students that are even coming on campus can talk about different issues. The virtual advising, virtual online, virtual financial aid sessions, all of the online tutorial services that were provided in the past, even coming back on campus, I think we need to do that. I think if we do those things effectively, I see us being able to build up our enrollment back.
Thank you. Dr. Wang, anything to add?
Yes, at hostels, enrollment is an issue, but I think retention is a bigger issue. So we are researching our students' learning outcome by modality collected from the past 3 years. So we are analyzing the data to the program, to the course level, and we want to learn if there are any variants based on the discipline and modality. So we can provide support based on the data. So our Center of Teaching and Learning and our Educational Technology Office has been working with us to provide professional development to help those faculties to address some potential challenges. And we're also trying to provide PD to encourage faculty to use Succeed at Hostels, so they can utilize the student support services like advising, tutoring, and also career services.
Thank you. Dr. Sekenegbe, this one will be for you.
Sure.
This way everyone gets to lead off at least once, and then, we do cleanup later. Along the same lines, it has been crucial to evaluate and prioritize EdTech funding and support structures. How is your college planning to address these needs to promote digital learning and innovation?
I think one of the things, again, to do that successfully, we got to first have the money to do that. I think one of the things we need to do, I think with President Delgado talked about earlier on, we need to look for sources beyond tax levy money to help build up the infrastructure and the network on our campuses. I think that's really crucial. I was thinking about this. I think we need to look for more grants to support all of the work we do in this direction. During the pandemic, we were able to get NMAC money from 12 of our assemblymen in Albany, I think to the tune of $250,000 to buy laptops and to buy my Wi-Fi. I think we need to look at stuff like that. Then the tech fees that we get on campuses, I think we need to look more closely and judiciously on how we spend them. I think that's really crucial. But the most important thing, again, aside from getting the money, is professional development. I think the provost talked about it. On all campuses, including Bronx, I think we're looking at that. How do we look for more funds to actually adequately train the faculty in working not just in the digital space, but using technology to enhance what they do in their classrooms. I think that's really the key, and I think that's really crucial. Aside from getting the money, we got to put in professional development opportunities in place. What I was thinking about to really do this effectively, we got to do incentivize professional development. So because if there is some incentive, there's some carrots added to it, you're more likely to get the faculty to participate. And I think even we in administrations, I think we got to be involved in some of this professional development too. This summer, I taught online a couple of years ago, but this summer I'm going to be taking the professional development course in online digital teaching, because I think that's really important so that I can understand what the faculty is going through. I can understand what it really takes to put together a good online class. I think that's, for me, really, really crucial.
Thank you. Provost Wang or President Delgado?
So I'll just add a little bit because of our enrollment decline. Our EdTech funding, it's not been increasing. So we can continue to support some recurring expenses, like for example, support our EdTech office, purchase the software that the student needs, and then continue out to support our library. But we do want to focus on leveraging existing technology or free information communication technology, continue to provide professional development and utilize OER and also develop online courses.
Thank you. President Delgado?
Yeah, I think the need to be creative with the funds that we have and prioritize them to best serve the students is important. And that's going to be a challenge because then we've got potentially bifurcated students, 25, 30% who are predominantly or solely online, and then another 70% or so that are face-to-face and making very different kinds of demands. For us, the solution, since we're moving into a capital campaign, is going to be fundraising. But it is also prioritizing what we pursue in partnership with city, state, and federal government, and finding those dollars that can help us meet what those priorities are, because you can't fundraise your way out of everything because of donors' interests. And by finding those third-party investments, we are not as reliant on the vicissitudes of enrollment cycles. But at the same time, we're not sort of guided towards trying to seek increases in fees, because we don't want to do that as our students are also coming out of the pandemic. So we'll see how this next cycle goes, but legislatively. But as we look forward, yeah, we're going to try to find a sustainable way to provide those services to our students without degrading other services that we also think are key and essential to our on-campus and online student populations.
Dr. Wang, this question will begin with you. CUNY saw record levels of faculty participation in online teaching seminars as a result of the pandemic. How do you think faculty and staff have adapted? What changes still need to be instituted to promote faculty development and continuous improvement? And is there a need to revise tenure and promotion processes to support this?
Thank you, Professor Powers. So our Office of Educational Technology and Center of Teaching and Learning, they have been provided the online learning initiatives prior to pandemic. So we're very fortunate that a lot of faculty already have that kind of training pre-pandemic. So we had approximately 90% of the faculty completed our intensive online learning initiative training. So right now we're doing is we're reviewing our data and try to assess our faculty's technology adoption. And we want to encourage all faculty to adopt technology regardless of modality. It's not just teaching online. If you teach in person, teach hybrid, we want them to continue to use Blackboard to practice the flipped classroom concept and try to use technology to create learning community. Also, we want to continue to discuss discipline-specific pedagogical practices to integrate technology, because every discipline is different. We also have a committee, it's called Point Committee. So they redesigned our observation protocol. So that protocol is being used to guide our faculty how to teach online and how to integrate technology in the classrooms. So when it comes to tenure promotion process, I think it's going to take a while to visit if there's an opportunity to revisit the process. However, before that happens, there are a lot of things we can do internally.
Thank you. Either president?
If I could chime in, I think we adapted to an online environment in a moment of crisis. And as we come out, we have, I think, the luxury of being a little bit more thoughtful and judicious, and frankly, trusting our faculty at the disciplinary level to assess the ways in which technology is integrated in their pedagogy, all forms of their pedagogy. At the same time, we have some practical issues in terms of system policies and student interest and demands, and so you navigate that space. But the broader issues will be, under the umbrella, how will we best serve students and student learning moving forward as we are informed by the pandemic, but moving out of the pandemic. And I think we have some good ideas. I think we have more than a useful sketch of the chapters that come, but those chapters have yet to be written, because everybody needs to sort of feel like they're emerging from the pandemic in order to think through these things carefully and assessing what the implications are for their own instruction, if you will, and for the collective good.
Again, I just want to chime in. I think at Bronx Community College, I think the faculty, they've adopted very well, but I think there's much more that needs to be done. And again, I agree with my two colleagues here, especially at the disciplinary level. We need to really go back to look at what are we doing in those areas. Because if you look at the success rate in most of the online classes here, you find there's a lot of withdrawals, and the pass-fail ratio rate is not something that would be that great. So I think as we move on from this adaptation, we need to really look how effective are these classes here. What do we need to do? What more training, professional development we need to give to the faculty? On our campus, the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Technology, Mark Lennington, Albert Robinson, Jody Getman, I think they've done a great job here of working with the faculty. And I think we have what we call lead coordinators in each of the departments here. I think we need to get these individuals to sit down to take us to the next level and the next step for what we do. But what I really think is more important, again, is if you talk about tenure and promotion, this is a system. We can't really do this at the college level. This is a system process. So, but at the college level, I think we can start talking to the faculty individually at the disciplinary level to see what changes can we make during the process of observation to make sure we're doing what's right for our students. I think that's really critical and crucial.
Okay. Dr. Delgado, this one for you. You referenced earlier Lehman's movement towards development of online programs prior to the pandemic. With the emphasis on digital transformation across higher ed, is your institution moving towards offering online degrees? And if so, what are the challenges that your institution is facing, including infrastructure, policy, support, training, and good old-fashioned human talent?
Yeah. So we already have a number of programs online, and we're looking at a few more judiciously. The system has an investment pool. I think they realize at the central office that there are opportunities to compete, at least regionally, with more online programs, and where they make sense, we'll do so at the undergraduate and graduate level. Look, I think we solved many of our infrastructure problems for our faculty and staff. We were able to use a lot of the federal money because we were in good financial shape to build out infrastructure on campus. And I think in the fall, we'll have somewhere between 70 to 90 high-flex classrooms ready to go. That doesn't mean they'll all be used, but what that means is it gives faculty optimal flexibility to move between and among modalities should they see fit. Me personally, I see that as a wonderful opportunity as things open up and normalize internationally for us to revisit some of our international partnerships and the nature of those international partnerships in terms of teaching in real time or collaboratively. I think for me, the biggest infrastructure issue is on the receiving end. Are our students adequately equipped to live in a Web 2.0 or beyond environment, and learn and have the support to learn in that space. And I think the other thing that may or may not resolve itself is that certain disciplines are more adaptable to online education than other disciplines. So, we constantly hear over the last decade how STEM is the most popular set of programs to grow in the online environment. And I think that's probably true, and that's wonderful. However, it is hard to replicate in meaningful ways chemistry labs, physics labs, upper division studio and design courses, whether they're in physics or in engineering, and practical hands-on courses in like nursing and biology. Hard to do those online, and so we know there's always going to be a necessary and important space just pedagogically to be on campus. And that's why I said at the disciplinary level, we have to carefully, thoughtfully look at the bigger picture and see what is doable. Because it's not just, can you take programs online? To Thomas's point, can you effectively take them online so that students can navigate, master the learning, and complete the program? It does us no good to have 20 programs online and have a 20% retention rate. I'd rather have a fraction of those programs online and have an 80% retention rate. And so that's also a large part of that, is knowing who your students are and what other barriers are in their lives that can conspire to impact their retention and success.
I think you said it all right. And at Bronx Community College, we have the liberal arts degree online. And, CUNY, I think Dr. Delgado just talked about it. CUNY is creating a CUNY online. And we were one of the programs. Our college was accepted. The cybersecurity program was accepted for the CUNY online. We're developing that as we speak. But I think it's really crucial that in as much as we're moving some of our programs online, I think the question of infrastructure comes in again. On campus, I think we can build infrastructure to meet the needs of the program. But I think I support what Dr. Delgado is saying here. Can our students really have the necessary tools to do that? If you live in the South Bronx or in the Central Bronx, although we want to expand this program beyond the Bronx, but for our local community, how do we actually meet their technology need? I think that would be one of the issues. The professional development for faculty is another issue that will come into. How do we make sure that just beyond the general concept of online teaching, we're actually meeting the discipline needs of that particular program? Again, there are some personnel issues that we have to deal with as we move into this different mode. I'm sure there are going to be contractual and union issues that we need to talk about. I think that's really crucial and critical. But as we go to these different directions here, I think the most important thing is for our campuses here, we need to decide if we're going to do this, how do we do this well so that our students actually learn and we're meeting the outcomes, whether it's online, whether it's in person. To me, I think that's the most important thing that will be the first question we need to answer.
So I'll just add that Hostos, we have 2 fully online programs. However, we still need to develop a clear process to enroll our students, support the student, and track the students in the fully online programs. So we are now forming an online council, and we have representatives from academic departments, from the student services areas, financial aid registrar. So we want this council to help us to guide our college to develop a strategic vision for our online programs, because they should discuss like what programs should be developed, what are the competitors, and then what students population will be more successful in fully online programs, and how do we promote those programs, and what about the curriculum development. So we have a long way to go.
Last question. We have roughly 3.5 minutes to go. Not that I'm watching the clock. And you guys all did kind of answer this in the previous question, but Dr. Sekenegbe, I will lead off with you.
Sure.
As discussed in the last question, building capacity is key to promoting digital transformation. How is your institution redefining the prioritization of digital learning? What positions or structures may be needed to address the needs in this new normal? And how are you going to address those needs at your institution?
I think this should be faculty-led and driven. On our campus here, you know Jody Getman. Jody is leading a group. In fact, we've created a position of Director of Online Learning, working with Mark Lennington, working with Albert Robinson, and working with a group of faculty here to really come up with some of the basic infrastructure we need to move this along. I think that's very, very important. I think the Center for Teaching, Learning, and Technology is going to play a key role there. Jody is going to play a key role. Obviously, our provost, Lester Laparo, is going to be involved in this. I think for us to move forward, we need to create that group to really help us drive or whatever we're going to do. I think what is really crucial there too is this, that we need to involve the faculty in this. This shouldn't be from the president's office. I think the faculty and the administration should work together collectively to decide this is where we want to go and how we're going to do it and do it very well.
President Delgado, Provost, either want to add?
I'll just echo the need to provide support and to our students, but also to our faculty is important. And some of that is expertise, and some of that is just technical clerical work to help faculty migrate or load pieces. I think for me, the key is we need to make smart decisions about the technology that we acquire as a campus or as a system. And we need to have efficiencies in terms of how these technologies integrate, because we can spend too much money on the back end trying to connect things that don't connect well. And I'd rather have that money closer to where the instruction is at, either invested directly in faculty or at least in support directly to those providers of education. And so I'm constantly pushing on notions of let's buy really good software, let's buy really good enterprise level software, but let's be thoughtful about the suites of software and how they integrate well, because those opportunity costs can nibble away at our capacity to provide direct supports to faculty and students in the teaching and learning space.
Yeah, I echoed with my two colleagues. I just want to add two more points that the culture shift requires a lot of resources and support. So we appreciate that, our Center of Teaching and Learning and EdTech offices have been providing that kind of communication with faculty, but we also need to we also need a cross-divisional collaboration to continue to support our faculty and students. The next thing is, we are collecting internal, external, and real-time data, so that can help us to make data-informed decisions and prioritize resources to support our digital transition.
First question from the chat. In order to enhance retention, which professional development programs are going to be developed to make sure that the assessments created by course faculty are aligned to the particular student learning outcomes? It is not just teaching and learning. It must include valid assessment. Whoever would like that one.
I think that's correct. That's true. Because to me, I think the learning outcomes of a particular course should be met, be it online or be it in person. So as we're moving towards this direction here, I think it's very, very important. I mean, again, for accreditation, for sake of accreditation purposes, but it doesn't matter whether the class is online. The faculty work with collectively in the particular discipline should be able to come up with valid assessment to make sure that the outcomes in that area of a particular course they be met. I think that's true.
Second question, and if it's okay, unless all three of you must chime in, I'm going to leave it to one of you to answer, because you guys are all like really on the same page. You are very, very well prepared. I'm impressed. There's a need to support the staff who work with faculty and students. During the pandemic, workload increased dramatically for online learning support staff, but the staff itself didn't correspondingly increase. What to do?
Well, I guess I can chime in. We're in a position financially where those critical questions are things that we hopefully can answer this summer. And so we have a pretty healthy balance. It's what helped us navigate the pandemic, so we really didn't have to lay anybody off during the pandemic. But now that we're exiting the pandemic and are in okay financial shape, what are some of those critical areas where infrastructurally we need to add staff? And that's tricky, because you have to add staff in real time, but you're not always sure where you're going to end up in terms of your institutional priorities 2 or 3 years from now. But we have people close to the ground who are able to identify what those current critical pinch points are, and we're certainly going to try to address them over the summer.
Okay. As classes and services move back to campus, what effort is being made to keep online services available to students, particularly weekend and evening students, maintain the capabilities of our faculty and staff to go back online when necessary? And by when necessary, Laura means future emergencies.
Well, here's my short answer, and it sounds a little flip, but if you can intuit, there's probably more behind it. You can provide hybrid services to students from your apartment or from your office on campus. And so if you're on campus and you're serving X percentage of students, you can accommodate appointments, you can accommodate walk-ins. But the fact that we still have this technology available to you on your desktop or on your laptop at work means that there's another group of students that you can provide services to, also by accommodating them in perhaps a walk-in space, but certainly an appointment space. And you don't need to leave your office, and they don't need to leave wherever they're at to come to your office. And I think what we're going to ask of ourselves is, at least for a while, is we're going to have that dexterity. And it may be part of what our new realities are. I don't know entirely, but I think we're going to have to meet students where they're at, and they may not be physically in front of us in our offices, and so our work environments and our workflows are going to have to adjust to that.
I agree with you totally. I think that's the future actually moving forward. We got to find ways to use the technology we used in the pandemic to enhance what we do for our students.
A question that I kind of have been asking, and that I've heard answers to from Dr. Sekenekbe on our campus. Are you at Hostos, Lehman, and BCC surveying students to see what their interests are? I mean, I know they vote with their feet in terms of registration. So if we put up an online class and an in-person class, and 20 students register for the online class and 3 register for in-person, that speaks. But how are we addressing or finding out their reasoning for the selection of online? Is it a vax issue? Is it a safety issue? Is it a this fits my lifestyle issue?
Provost, do you want to go on?
Yes, I can start. Like in hostels, a few of our departments, they survey their own students only because of the accreditation need. They have to provide certain modality. For example, our allied health program, most of their courses have to be offered in person. But our registrar also reach out and then survey our students and then analyze, their preference of taking courses in terms of modality. Now, about half of the students, their answer is actually they don't care about the modality. They can come in person, they can take online. About 20% of our students prefer to take courses online, and then another 20%, prefer to take in-person courses. So I think our fall 22 scheduled modality pretty much reflect the students' preference.
President Delgado, you want to address or no?
There's not much more to add. I think my colleagues have covered the terrain pretty effectively. We're 3 different institutions, but in some ways our student challenges and our infrastructure challenges aren't that different. We're working in the same space in the Bronx with largely the same student clientele.
There are no further questions. Would anyone like to take the opportunity to do a 1-minute final thought? I hope you have more thoughts after this, but you can have a final thought now.
Steve, my thought really just to say thank you to all of the faculty, to all of the staff, and to all of the IT support staff during the last 2 years. It's been really, I don't know how to put it, but it's been really fantastic to move from 90% in person to fully online in the space of 3 weeks. Again, I think all of this happened because of dedicated faculty, because of dedicated support staff from our teaching and learning center, the lead faculty in all of the discipline. So my closing thought really just to say thank you to everybody. And I think it all shows that if we all come together to work collectively towards one effort, we can be successful and we can achieve.
Provost?
I just want to say, same thing. Thanks for everyone, all our faculty, our staff. Even today's showcase, this platform give us a really wonderful opportunity to meet virtually. So thank you so much for everyone helped to put the showcase together.
And President Delgado.
Yeah, I'll pick up on the provost comments. I don't know if the other boroughs do it, but like everything else that we do together in the Bronx, this is a reinforcement of our partnerships and our collaborations, and frankly, in our interests in learning from each other and each other's successes. So, people ask me what's the hardest thing about being at Lehman? The traffic. That's the hardest thing.
Carlos, I believe the show goes back to you in about a minute.
Thank you very much. You are seeing the virtual reactions, the claps and applause from the audience. So we want to thank you for how wonderful panel to start this showcase. I'm sure that the conversations are going to go throughout the day. We're very happy to see also that this afternoon's keynote with the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Academic Effectiveness is going to connect everything that has happened in this conversation is going to be also connecting and looking at the innovation imperative and all of the different challenges that we're facing. So we invite you to go back for our afternoon keynote. And also, there's a couple of things that we wanted to make sure that we mentioned to you. One, I'm going to share, and then I'll be sharing this link throughout the day. This is a one question survey, and we want to share that the BronxEdTech Showcase is it's going to be in its 10th anniversary next year. We've been doing this for 10 years already, and we want to make sure that we make next year a memorable year for the BronxEdTech Showcase. So we want to ask you to share with us. Many of you have been attending this conference from day one, and we want to hear from you, what ideas you have, what suggestions you have for us to make this conference a memorable 10th year anniversary. With that, also just make sure that you look at the program. We start the concurrent sessions in 11:05, so we still have 5 minutes, right on time. Our presidents and our provosts and our great moderator did an excellent job in keeping within the time frame. So we have, here is the link for the full program. Make sure that you type the password hashtag BronxEdTech, which, by the way, is the official hashtag for the conference. So we also invite you to go through Twitter, any social media that you use the hashtag so that we could continue the conversation in social media. These presentations are being broadcasted live in YouTube and Facebook as well, so you could look at those presentations right away. And we're very happy. We're thankful again to our panelists. I'm going to ask the audience to just give one final set of claps and thank you for the wonderful conversations we had. And we will be coming back to this event or to this platform. Sorry, we're coming back at lunchtime. This space is going to be open. The virtual space is going to be open, so that you could come back. Have conversations with colleagues, say hi to colleagues. We will continue with the different concurrent sessions. You have the links to the direct Zoom links for each of those presentations. And then we will come back in the afternoon at 1:50 for the keynote address. So that you're going to use the same link as this. I know Albert from BCC is on stage. I don't know, Albert, if you want to say a couple of words. I'm just going to put Albert on. Maybe he doesn't. Don't be shy, Albert. Well, once again, I'm going to, let's see. All right there. So putting some peer pressure to Albert.
No, it's okay. Thank you, Carlos. And you mentioned it. I'll just remind them again. We want to hear about your suggestions for the next year showcase. That's one of the things. As we were planning this one, um, people may not notice, and I'm going to give a big shout out to the entire showcase team, including all of the support staff that are managing the Zoom rooms and the ones that are here in this room that'll be doing all of the tech support. It's about 20 people it takes to run this thing online and even more in person. So I want to give them a shout out. And please send us those ideas. And, thank you guys for being there if you're new, welcome. If you've been there for all of the years, like Carlos said, thank you for that. But it's a lot of work that go into this, and we do it because, we like to present these things and give people a platform to present. And we do a planning about a year out. So after we finish today, we'll be meeting next week to start planning the next one. So it never ends. So again, thank you to the panel too, and to our moderator. You guys did an outstanding job. When we imagined this and you brought it to life, you nailed it. I want to give you guys a shout out as well. So any questions you have throughout today, put it in the chat. We'll be around all day. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And feel free to start. Just go on to the concurrent sessions. That starts in a minute. And we'll see you back at either lunch or the keynote address to this platform. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.